Now it's time to start the big essay that we're going to write, which is the 5-paragraph standard essay that we're going to write about modern young adult literature. For this essay, the format is MLA, only submit a PDF, nothing else will do, and you're also going to select and create a Works Cited page using EasyBib. Let's start our project right off the bat by going over to EasyBib and creating a project. And we know we create a new project by clicking that and labeling this. I've created a project. I'm going to click Bibliography, and then everything that I add will be added to the correct project. So I have that open, and I go ahead and leave that, and I'm going to go back over to the course, to this assignment. Now my EasyBib project has started, and I'm going to remember that as I go through this process, I'm going to mark everything down that I research as I prepare this essay. Remember, 2/3 of the essay should be written in your own words. You can use examples that you have described and so forth, and those will still maintain that 88% of the assignment in your own words. EasyBib will help you with that, to quote all of your sources. Remember, if it's a quoted source or a quoted idea, you must give credit to that source. The purpose of this is to demonstrate that you understand both the theme and one element of the novel that you will choose from the modern novels options. One of the sites that I found that was awesome, and certainly not the only site, you are free to find and explore novels that involve adolescent themes anywhere you like. I just happened to find one resource that I thought was exquisite, and that is this particular URL. This content comes from that URL, and it explains a little bit about young adult fiction and the genres of young adult fiction. And then they have included some suggestions that are excellent for modern novels that you might want to study. Look through this and choose the novel that you like, or go out to the internet, find another novel, something new, something different, something you've never read before. I don't care if it's edgy or interesting or romantic or what it is, but it is all something that interests you, that you want to spend some time studying and learning and reading. You're going to really enjoy this, and I want you to remember your brilliance and find something wonderful. This is just a section of ideas. There are lots to be found. But let's just say that I go through here and I decide that I'm going to select The Fault in Our Stars. Very first thing I'm going to do is go over to the discussion boards in the class, find the discussion board for Lock My Topic for the modern novel, and lock down that topic so nobody else can use it. Before I do one other thing, I'm going to lock that topic. Now I've got to find this book. And where do you think I'm going to go? That's right, I'm going to the library. Again, went to Modesto, clicked on the library. That came up, and I'm going to type in the title that I'm looking for. There it is. And again, if I did not find it here, I would go to Ask a Librarian, which I'm probably going to ask a librarian at some point anyway. And as I scrolled down, again, I found the ebook. And if I have any trouble with this, I can always go back and ask a librarian. Once again, the world is your oyster, and as long as you locate a book that is modern and that includes an adolescent protagonist who has a struggle, something that they are dealing with, that is just fine. Modern is a very general term, and I'm pretty easy with that. Make sure that you're not using the same title that you used in the classics, of course, but go ahead and use your Google and look around and see what you think. Ask a librarian. You can actually go to the library before you select a title, click Ask a Librarian, and ask them to recommend something. They're wonderful. So once you get that title, you lock it down and then you read it. You can use Spark Notes to help you if you have trouble making sense of it, or if you need some extra help. If you use Spark Notes or Cliff Notes or anything, make sure you include that in your bibliography. So let's say that I do that. I went to Spark Notes and I type in my title and I see what kind of study guides I can find. One thing I want to make sure that I do not do is study a blog. A blog is just an opinion. That's not what I need. I need a study guide, right? Okay, so I click this study guide, and before I do one other thing, I copy the URL and I go over to EasyBib. Here I am in EasyBib. I'm in my project. I paste that URL before I ever even look at it. I'm going to make sure that I have cited it before I ever even look at the article. I see that it's all correct. I click Continue. Complete the citation. And you can see where it has added it to my list. Of course, I'm going to cite the URL for the ebook that I'm going to find and read, or if I check the book out of the library because I want to read a hard copy, then I'm going to cite that as the hard copy. But of course, my bibliography needs to show the title of the novel that I'm studying. That makes sense, yes? And just to remind you one more last time, and then we'll get out of here. When I'm through, I select all, and of course I'm going to have a long list by the time I'm through. I'm going to export list, export to Word doc. It's going to show up in my tray on my computer, and it's going to open as a Word document. There it is, and I'm going to click Enable Editing, and then I'll be able to add my whatever other things if I need to make any changes in that. Yes? So this is what I mean. It shows up. I click Enable Editing in case I need to change anything, right? And there that is. And that's going to be a long list of all of my citations when I'm finished with the project. Let's go back to the instructions. So now I've read the book. I've cited my Spark Notes so that I'm clear on that. And I'm going to study those articles, the study guides, ask the librarian, work with the writing center, and I'm going to determine a statement about what I think the theme of that novel is. Then I'm going to choose one of these other elements to explore. Motif, the world of the story, character development, how the character changes from one position to another, the world of the story, which is also connected with motif, but that has to do with the social setting and so forth. Tone and style, subtext, symbols, foreshadowing, or dramatic irony. I'm going to pick one of these. Now, again, I might ask that librarian to help me decide which one to choose, and I can get help from the writing center as I go over that. You can print this PDF out and take it with you if you're meeting somebody in person, or you can email it to them, or I'll email it to them. So you can get lots of help with this. So now you'd go to Google and you'd type in something like this. I have a couple of different kinds of examples, but let's say I type in, okay, Google, what is the theme of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet? That's going to take me to a number of articles, and I'm going to study and read those, and I'm going to decide on what I think a statement of theme would be. And I've got some quotes from some articles, I've got some examples from the text, I've got some quotes from the text, and so forth. I've also decided that I'm going to use dramatic irony. I'm going to choose that from the list to discover. And I'm going to find 2 articles at least, and of course I'm going to add those to my list in EasyBib. Yes? So now I've got my little 3 citations in place. I've got the text itself. I've got 2 articles at least. Maybe I have more. I have Spark Notes. That's going to be a 4th if I used that, and so forth. Now I'm going to plan this 5-point essay, and I've given you a point-by-point exact outline to follow. In your introduction, you're going to introduce the title and the author and when it was written, when the novel was written. Sentence 2, why you're interested in this topic, and so forth as you go through this. You will have a thesis statement that you write. Now the thesis statement can go here at the end, or it can go the sentence before. You can decide that as you go. I don't want to micromanage your essay for you, but in the introduction, we need a thesis statement. And what I need for you to do is underline that thesis statement. So let's say this is my thesis statement. I need to underline it. Very important that I underline that thesis statement. Now I go on with my body paragraphs, and all of those are described. And then at the end I have my conclusion. And I always like to conclude essays with a snappy little quote from the essay, a quote from the novel, or a quote from one of the articles that I've read, or something else. I think it's a nice way to end an essay, because it's hard to write a conclusion and say, how do I get out of here? I've already said what I've said. Why do I have to re-say what I already said? So I took you through the process of writing a nice conclusion here. And that's it. These 5 paragraphs using this exact formula. You're going to read your 5 paragraphs out loud and correct all the errors. Once again, use the Writing Center, use the librarians, use all the help that's available to you to proofread this essay once you have it written. Make sure you've proved everything. If I say Romeo is sad, I need a quote that says that, because how does anybody know that he was sad? Well, he says he's sad, and I use a quote to show that. So make sure you've used plenty of quotes to support your ideas. You're going to go to EasyBib, you're going to create that works cited like we just showed, only now of course you're going to have lots of more citations. And you're going to remember, one more time I'm going to remind you. And I do that because enough times people don't remember this process and it causes problems. Select all, export to Word doc. Wait for the Word document to open. You'll have a long list of your citations, and they'll all be formatted correctly and in alphabetical order. You'll enable editing in case you need to add anything, and then you will copy that and you will paste it into the end of your essay. You will submit one document and one document only, and that will be a PDF that will include your name, course, assignment, date, the word count, and remember that you will have several different word counts. You'll have a word count for each edit that you've made for the essay, and then you will have a final word count. You can find that information in the Start Here menu by looking at that word count tutorial. Make sure this is a big essay, so make sure that that has been completed. This essay is going to be about 1,000 words. Sometimes it's 1,200 words, but it should be a good, high quality essay. Make sure that you then save the document as a PDF and submit that in the tab provided in the folder for Modern Adolescent Novel Essay. Yes, this is going to be fun. You're going to feel so brilliant. I'm not even kidding. When you finish this project and you use all these free resources available to you at the school, you're going to have that wonderful feeling of accomplishment. And I want you to pick a novel that just knocks your socks off, that you absolutely get so much from. And I'm going to be excited. I'm going to read some too. I'm so pumped about this. But remember, take this essay one step at a time, get some help, proofread it, be sure you cite every single source you use, and create that works cited correctly by clicking Export Print as a Word doc. Yes? Okay, that concludes this tutorial for the Modern Essay.